You were born into one of the most secretive countries on Earth, North Korea. But unlike the millions of people living under its rigid system, you are born behind the highest walls in the country, walls guarded by soldiers, cameras, and loyalty that borders on worship. Because your father is the supreme leader, the most powerful man in the nation. The day you were born, the announcement spreads across state television. The narrators speak with excitement as if history itself has just taken a breath. They say the future of the revolution has arrived. They say the bloodline of leadership will continue. They say you are a blessing to the nation. You are too young to understand any of it, of course, but by the time you can walk, the story has already been written for you. Inside the palace, your childhood feels like living inside a carefully designed world. Your toys come from foreign countries most citizens have never seen. Your tutors are the best in the nation. Your meals are prepared by chefs who would never dare make a mistake. Outside the palace walls, the country runs on discipline, ideology, and control. Inside the palace walls, you live like royalty. When you are 6 years old, your tutors begin explaining your importance. They tell you your father protects the nation from enemies. They tell you your family was chosen by history. They tell you that one day the people will look to you for guidance. At first, it just sounds like stories adults like to tell, but when every teacher repeats the same message every day, it slowly becomes something else, a belief. You start seeing your own face appear in certain newspapers next to your father. At official ceremonies, generals pat your shoulder and call you future leader. During parades, you stand beside your father while thousands of soldiers march past in perfect formation. Crowds cheer loudly as you wave. At 8 years old, you assume they are cheering for you personally. Your father is an unusual man, powerful, confident, sometimes strangely funny. At night, he occasionally calls you into his private office. The room smells like tobacco and expensive wood. On the wall is a giant map of the world. He taps different countries with a small pointer. These are the nations that threaten us, he says. America, Japan, South Korea. Then he taps another part of the map, the missile sites. But they remember something important, he says. We have nuclear weapons. Your father loves talking about them. One night, he watches international news showing conflicts in other parts of the world. He shakes his head and laughs. Look at this, he says. Russia fighting wars, Iran always in some drama, everyone getting bombed. Then he gestures toward the missiles on the map. I have nukes and nobody even bothers me. He sighs dramatically. Honestly, I'm starting to feel left out. You laugh. Because when the supreme leader makes a joke, laughing feels like the correct answer. Your education becomes more intense as you grow older. You study history, economics, military strategy, and ideology. But the most important lesson, repeated over and over again, is simple. Your family is destiny. Your grandfather built the system, your father protects it, and one day you will lead it. By the time you turn 14, the entire country already knows your name. Portraits of you appear in some government buildings. Your image begins appearing in propaganda films beside your father. The message is clear. You are the heir, the future leader of North Korea. But there is one thing you still haven't seen, the outside world. When you turn 15, your father summons you for a private conversation. There are no generals present, no advisors, just the two of you. My son, he says quietly, you must leave North Korea. The sentence hits you like a shock. Leaving the country is something ordinary citizens can barely imagine. But you are not leaving as the son of the supreme leader. You are leaving under a completely different identity. Your father wants you educated abroad, not in China, not in Russia, in the West. But secrecy is everything. Within months, arrangements are made through hidden diplomatic channels. You are given a new name, a new passport, a new life. On paper, you are no longer the son of North Korea's leader. You are the child of a wealthy South Korean businessman. Your new nationality allows you to move freely. And one quiet night, under strict security, you board a plane leaving the country that raised you. When you arrive in the West, the first thing that shocks you is how loud everything is. Cities glow with neon lights. People shout about politics openly in cafes. News channels criticize governments without fear. Nobody lowers their voice when talking about leaders. And, most importantly, nobody recognizes you. For the first time in your life, you are invisible. Just another rich student studying abroad. At first, it feels incredible. You eat foods you've never seen before, travel during school breaks, drive fast cars, go to parties where nobody cares about ideology or loyalty. Your classmates believe your father is a mysterious international businessman, which technically isn't wrong. They just don't know he also commands missiles. But something begins changing as the years pass. You start reading foreign news about North Korea, stories about the government, stories about defectors, stories about the lives of ordinary people. The version of your country described by the outside world feels very different from the one you grew up with. Your professors openly criticize dictatorships. Your classmates joke about authoritarian leaders. One night, someone even makes a joke about North Korea. You laugh along awkwardly. Inside, something shifts. For the first time, doubt appears. Then you meet her. You meet her during your second year. She's studying international politics, smart, curious, and not impressed by rich students pretending to be important, which makes you like her immediately. You spend evenings walking through city streets talking about the world. She believes leaders should serve their people. She believes governments should be questioned. You listen carefully, because the life she describes feels nothing like the one waiting for you back home. Sometimes you imagine telling her the truth, that you are not the son of a businessman, that you are the heir to North Korea's leadership. But you never do, because deep down you know something painful. She would never follow you there, and you could never bring her. Meanwhile, back in North Korea, something else is happening. A powerful military officer begins rising through the ranks. He is respected by soldiers, admired by generals, and trusted deeply by your father. He appears frequently beside your father during inspections and military ceremonies, advising him, laughing with him, building loyalty across the army. From abroad, you occasionally see his face in international news articles. Something about him makes you uneasy. You cannot explain why, but it feels like the beginning of a story you might not like the ending of. The call comes during a cold winter morning. Your father is sick. You leave immediately. Returning to North Korea feels like stepping out of another life. The free cities, the debates, the girl you loved, all of it disappears the moment your plane lands. The capital city looks exactly as you remember. The statues, the silent streets, the giant portraits watching from buildings. But now the weight of the country feels real. Your father is weaker than you have ever seen him. When he speaks, his voice is slow but firm. My son, it is time you learn how power truly works. Within weeks, you are given a powerful position in the military leadership. You attend high-level meetings, inspect missile bases, stand beside your father during official appearances. The generals study you carefully, some with loyalty, some with curiosity, and one with particular interest, the rising officer, the one who grew powerful while you studied abroad. He greets you warmly, calls you young leader, offers advice, but something about his confidence feels dangerous. Months pass, your father grows weaker, and then one night the announcement comes. The supreme leader of North Korea has died. The country enters mourning immediately. Millions cry on television. Black banners hang across the capital. Within days, the government announces the successor, you, the son of the leader, the next supreme leader of North Korea. But power in North Korea is not simply inherited, it must be secured. Soon, intelligence reports reach your desk. The powerful officer has supporters, generals loyal to him, commanders who believe he should guide the country instead of you. Not openly, not yet, but quietly. You realize something quickly. If you hesitate, you could lose everything. So you act. Early in your rule, the officer is invited to a private meeting inside the palace. He arrives confidently. After all, he served your father for decades. But the meeting does not end the way he expects. Within hours, he is arrested. By morning, state media announces that a dangerous traitor has been removed. Your position becomes secure. Your reign begins. Life as supreme leader is unlike anything you imagined. Every day begins with intelligence briefings, economic challenges, military strategy, foreign sanctions, diplomats demanding negotiations. You tour missile bases with cameras following every step, inspect factories where workers cheer loudly, attend massive military parades where thousands of soldiers march beneath banners carrying your image. The outside world calls you a dictator. Inside the country, millions call you protector. Sometimes during private dinners with your generals, you still make jokes. One night while watching international news, you shake your head. Russia fighting wars, Iran arguing with everyone getting attention. You glance toward the missile reports on your desk. I have nuclear weapons and nobody invites me to the chaos. The generals laugh nervously, because when the supreme leader jokes about nukes, you laugh, even if it isn't funny. Years pass, your power becomes stable, your enemies disappear, your allies become loyal, and sometimes, late at night, you stand alone on the balcony overlooking the quiet capital of North Korea. You think about the boy raised to believe he was chosen, the student who once lived freely abroad, the leader who had to eliminate a rival before his throne even settled. In a country built on stories and power, you have become the most powerful story of all, the supreme leader of North Korea. And somewhere beyond your borders, the rest of the world watches carefully. Because when a man with nuclear weapons runs a country, everyone pays attention.